All right, welcome everyone. All right, we seem to be short a couple of recorders tonight, so Teresa's going to step in, so be kind. And start with check-in. Rob, you have the mic in your hand.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Robert Dodig, Executive Director of Human Resources. I am well. Time constraint, just normal, 7 o'clock. We do not have anybody missing, I don't think. Will is missing, obviously. He'll be back in January. And Amy, Dr. Desimores, is not here, and Kelly is here in her stead, just like Elizabeth is here in Will's stead. No elephants. My expectation is to make progress tonight.
I am Elizabeth Brinkley, doing fine, no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants and expectations. I'll go with that, make some progress.
Good evening, I'm Heather Leonard. I'm doing well this evening. I do have a 6 o'clock time constraint. I need to step out. I believe the missing have been noted, no elephants, and expectation also make some progress.
Hi, Kelly Letcher, doing fine, no time constraints, missing are noted, no elephants, and I'll go with make progress.
Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Kelfi, I'm doing well. I have no time constraints, missing noted, I have no elephants, and expectations is make progress.
Good afternoon, my name is Bonnie, I'm well, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and my expectation is to make progress.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jason. I'm doing amazing. I have no time constraints. Missing is noted. I don't have any elephants that I'm aware of, and my expectation is to make it easy, make progress.
My name is Roger Lloyd. I'm representing transportation. I'm doing well. I do not have any time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and let's continue to make progress.
My name is Matthew Kay. I'm doing well. No time constraints. Everyone's been mentioned my knowledge that it's missing. No elephants, and my expectations are number 8 to make progress.
My name is Jamie Brenner. I'm great. Time constraints is 5. I don't know anybody else that's missing. No elephants, and make progress.
I'm Shannon Johnston. I'm doing great. No time constraints, no elephants, and I'm going to change it up and say, let's make some agreements.
That's just me. Marcia Burr, I am well. Excuse me, no time constraints, missing noted, no elephants, expectations. I'm going to go with make progress.
My name is Candy Messenger, Food and Nutrition Services. I'm doing fine, no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is to make progress.
My name is Teresa Bowen. I'm the ESE Director. I'm doing fine, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and I would like to make progress.
Good evening, my name is Barbara Cedino. I'm doing well, no time constraints, missing as noted, no elephants, and expectations to continue making progress. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Kurt Pizzone. I'm Chief Negotiator for SPALC. I'm doing okay. I have no time constraints other than the end of the meeting. We have a few missing. Donna, we have Chris Cox, Tony Abrams, Luis Rodriguez, and Jimmy Young. No elephants, and I'd like to make some progress.
Good evening, my name is Arlise Williams. I'm the president of SPALC. I'm doing well. Time constraints 7, missing has been noted, and no elephants.
Your expectation?
Oh. Did I miss it?
You missed it.
Expectation is make progress.
Thank you.
Thank you, sorry.
My name is Roderick Wilson. I'm doing fine. No time constraints. Who's missing has been noted. And no elephants, and expectation is to make progress.
My name is Deborah Evans. Time restraint, no time restraint. People that we listen already know that no elephant expectation to make progress.
Good afternoon, my name is Patrice Coates. I'm okay, time constraints none, missing noted, no elephants, and expectations, courses make progress.
Okay, thank you. Teresa? Okay, thank you. And I'm Donna Mutzenard. I'm doing well, no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is to help you reach those expectations for this evening. So just give us a second to change some paper. You did have minutes sent to you from back in September. Did everybody get a chance to look at those? And does anybody even remember what we did in September?
That was in the
You know whether it was right or wrong.
Yeah.
Are there any changes or corrections, deletions to those minutes? No? All right. Seeing no changes, can we all accept the minutes from September, is it the 19th? Yes. September 19th. All right, excellent. So our agenda tonight is to talk about Article 2 and 5, even though when you read those minutes, it sounds like we stopped at Article 12, and it's been decided by both parties to wait on Article 12 because it's not quite ready yet, and we'll do Article 2 and 5 tonight, which the snapshots are already up. Article 2 had just one bullet beside it, discuss release time as it relates to new full-time SPALC president, and the item is going to the board on August 30th.
We're a little late.
Just a little bit. So, any more to add to that, Kurt?
Yeah, I can add a little story to this. So this SPALC president has been full-time released as long as I know. And the full salary and benefits are reimbursed by SPALC to the district. And in the past, however long, with the prior administration, there was no issue because the prior president came from a position that was, basically an 8-hour workday. And we realized that as the SPALC membership elects a new president, that person could have a full range of work schedules, work hours, work years, and it's been the practice of SPALC that the president is paid on a 255 8-hour day contract. So we wanted to codify in, I guess this is 2.03 item 7 in item B, some language that basically codifies the 8-hour workday, 255-day work year for the SPALC president.
Okay, and your option is to
insert language into 2.037B that says.
Hold on a second. insert language in
2.03, item 7, part B, that basically states the SPALC president is paid on an 8-hour workday, 255-day work year.
Okay.
There's one more piece as well. That I think.
Story?
Yeah, and a second option.
Okay.
So it doesn't really affect us on the talc side, but on the SPALC side, seniority is still a thing, and it's very important to people, as it should be. We realized, because I believe this is the first time that a employee from transportation is president, that where this has actually come up, where we would like to add some language in the same section that says that the seniority number would be maintained, or the seniority would be maintained. So in effect, with our lease, I believe she is number 16 on the transportation seniority list, and we would like language in that says that she's held harmless, for lack of a better phrase. She doesn't lose her seniority while she is SPALC president.
Okay, so that would be option 2.
Yes.
To add to the same article that we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so, any other story?
I just have a couple of items in reaction to that. Just to clarify, so if a person is less than 255, 8 hours, they're accruing vacation and sick leave at a different rate. Okay, so that comes into play here, because their terminal pay is impacted, the cost to the district's impacted. And then as far as seniority, district seniority, district positions or positions other than transportation calculate seniority different. So when you say Ms. Williams is 16th, that means in transportation.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Regarding your first item, I guess we envision the SPALC president, say they were a food service worker who works 4 hours a day, normally. If they were elected SPALC president, the SPALC board has been very clear that their expectation is their president works a full year contract, 8 hours a day. And, the SPALC, the SPALC treasurer pays that and reimburses that to the school district. So I think all we're looking at is for the term period, that regardless of what they worked, as a district employee, when they're released on a 8-hour day, 255 contract for that 3-year term.
Got it. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, when their presidency ends, if they continue to work for the district, they would go back to their previous work schedule, work year prior to becoming president, correct?
That's exactly right.
I just want to make sure that we're clear. So when an employee goes on to 255, they start accruing vacation, and anything that's not, there's a rate that's paid out at the end of that. What I want to make sure of is that that would be something the district normally would not have been paying for based on that person. So when that person switches out of that position back to their regular position, I would like that bill for that terminal pay also be paid by the association, since that would not have been something the district would have incurred.
That sounds like another option, Kelly.
So if a member is, say, a 30-year employee, but a member is SPALC president for 3 years, you would want the association to pay the 3-year portion of whatever the terminal pay would be. Understood.
Okay. Anything else?
That's what's been done, because the president always resigns.
Anything else? Okay, seeing nothing, we have three options up here, let's review them. Option one was language stating the SPALC president is paid an 8-hour workday for 255 days. Option two is add seniority language to it, that they maintain their seniority in whatever position they're in, right? Option three, district will get paid reimbursed by SPALC for terminal pay that maybe have to be paid out at the end of the president's term. Those words all up there, I just added. Arlene.
Ms. Emma, I have a question. Can you read the first one over, I think, again? Because I want to make sure that the 8 hours is
8 hour, 255 days.
Okay.
Yes, it's up there.
And can you read the second one again? I apologize.
Seniority will be maintained.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? We have a Burr.
Sorry, I'm thinking back to what Rob said. I think you're right. The only department that it really matters is transportation. Does that language really cover what we're asking?
That's all right.
So seniority for transportation employees is in Article 5.
Yeah.
But what you're asking pertains just to the president, right? In Article 2, 7B.
Yes.
Okay.
So if the language says just specifically for transportation employees, their transportation seniority is held harmless, would that make more sense? Held harmless isn't the right word. Does that make more sense?
So essentially you're saying if the president is a transportation employee, their seniority shall or remain the same as when they left or when they assumed the presidency,
right,
when they return.
They go back.
Okay.
They're still in their place in line.
Yeah. Okay.
We can wordsmith this, when it comes to the TA. I just want to make sure that I'm being clear.
I'm just rewriting the options. To seniority is maintained. And 3 was being self-fully reimbursed. For vacation. Okay.
Donna?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So regarding option 3, does it say vacation?
Or vacation terminal play if applicable.
Well, I think we should say sick. Sick and vacation, if you're okay amending it. Yeah, okay.
It's all paid out. So like if you
Okay.
Take the phrase terminal out of there, sick and vacation pay.
You're welcome. Now, this will be wordsmithed if it goes into the contract, so.
Third, wordsmith. 2, transportation bus operator, because I think the seniority that's mentioned in there only applies to bus operators.
Arlene?
Well, yeah, I think it's only transportation department for that part.
Is it the whole department, or is it
It
just
would
bus
be,
operators?
it would be for
It's
the
just operators.
No, it would be for the operators and if a bus attendant, because if we have members that's bus attendants, they also can, run.
So bus attendants, are they mentioned in the seniority language?
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it says 3, seniority of transportation employees, A, bus operators. And then B, there's a separate section for attendants and monitors.
We need to take monitors out, because we don't have.
No, I know that. Yeah, I'm just, there's one left, I
There's
think.
one left, so you're gonna leave it in.
Beverly Payson retired. She was the only one left. Yeah, and she retired.
All right, I mean, I'm not gonna box things down, we can
Yeah,
work on that.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know if this matters here, but there's been conversation in, basically SPALC labor management to discuss attendants being able to bid routes or bid buses instead of zones. So it may be best to leave this in there just in lieu of some future conversations that we're gonna have in SPALC labor management tomorrow.
Okay. Transportation.
Oh, thank you, yeah, transportation labor management.
All right, so anything else for the options we have up here, or another option? Do I have a straw design? Is that correct?
1 through 3?
Okay. Any other straw designs? All right, we have a straw design 1, 2, and 3. All those in favor of that straw design, may I see thumbs, please? We are good. Done. Thank you. All right, well, let's move some paper around. Another article done. Next on the agenda is Article 5. And Article 5, there were several things. Article 5 is general employment practices. The bullet for the story was a loss of seniority, issues at transportation at RTM. During preschool clock-in 4 times, RTMs can change 2 times a day, putting in paperwork and not getting paid, language about resignation and retirement, draft MOU about the timing of transfers, and status of head custodian, manager position trainings, and assistant manager position trainings on how to become a manager, availability and locations of light duty, and how SPALC employees are compensated for covering different positions. And our interests were clarity, fairness, consistency. No data request. So with that, where would you like to begin? Rob?
Well, I think it's SPALC's pleasure. They're the ones that put up this item, but there are quite a few there that we might want to focus on. one at a time.
Yes, there was quite a few.
Okay.
There were several with transportation, so maybe we want to take that as a chunk.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay, so the first issue is, RTM. So I don't know how this was confused, but our drivers are using route sheets. Route sheets are not RTMs. Route sheets are route sheets. RTMs have its own form, and that form looks like, there's a form and the drivers have to fill it out. So they will put their parking location, they will put their first stop, their last stop, their first school, and continue that for every school they have. And then it will reverse in the afternoon. They will put their first school, their first stop, and their last stop. And then you will add up all of your mileage for that day. And you will also log in your times and how it has always been done. If your times did not match up with your GPS in your route, your supervisor would adjust the time where needed with the employee and then give you the correction. So instead of payroll doing multiple missed punches, over scheduled hours, and all the other multiple ways that transportation have to report their time, it will simply be one sheet. That will save payroll tons of time. So I think it was a issue with people actually stealing time. When you have a RTM, you will get paid for that RTM time. Okay, so it's almost, with an RTM, it's almost impossible for you to steal time because your time has been like pre-approved. Even if you have a work study or pre-K speech or a shortened day, all of those things happen in the midday area. That also would pretty much go on your RTM, and then again, it will cut down paperwork on payroll to try to, even keep up with what a driver is doing during the day. So the only how a driver can literally steal on an RTM, if their supervisors are doing their job, is they put in an extra time slip, the supervisor don't go back and match it up with the RTM, route sheet, and GPS, and they just let it go through, then that's basically on the supervisors. But, if we literally did the RTM report the way it's supposed to be, because the drivers don't have an RTM, they're going by route sheet. It's just two different things. It'll just save a lot of money in time. It will save a bunch of time for payroll. And then the drivers won't be so confused, because another thing that's happening, some of the older drivers, they have to get home, to their spouses or whatever, and they're just so frustrated with the amount of paperwork or the amount of documentation transportation has to do. A lot of them just won't do it. So you have people working that's basically not getting paid for the time that they're working, because they're just so frustrated with the system that's in place.
Thank you. Anybody? Rob?
Just the last thing that Arlene said there, I just want to grasp it, and I'll give this to Mr. Lloyd. When you say what are they frustrated with? Can you just kind of explain that point?
Okay, I'll give you preschool, okay? So with preschool, this is what our day looks like. If we're going in person, once we get our location, we're clocking in. And then basically our supervisors have a list. So they're checking to make sure all these people are in class. And then we're clocking out. And then we go home and we do a test every day on whatever topic we had that day. So that alone, we're basically clocking, it's 4 times like in one day that we're verifying that we took this training. And from what I understand, because now I'm out in the field and I'm talking to different departments, transportation is the only department that's doing that. Another thing, on a regular day, why they're frustrated. I'll take me, when I was, driving, I did my regular run and I had a pre-K speech. So I did a regular run. I was on standby, so I was assigned an extra run. I did a pre-K speech. I did my regular run in the afternoon. I did an extra run in the afternoon because of the shortage. And then I might go back to a school and do another run. I literally have to get on the computer and put all that in every single day.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Roger?
Hello.
Hello.
And our lease is right, there used to be an RTM form that the drivers would fill out. However, when we upgraded our software program, and this was done with SPALC in conjunction, we actually, the report I'm looking at, which is the route sheet they get, the title of it is Route Time and Mileage Report. And on this report, it has their check-in time, it has the time that they are expected to leave the compound, then it goes step by step. It goes through there, it gives direction, has the kids' names, gives the mileage, the time, and it goes through the route stop by stop. What we did to alleviate the paperwork and everything else, it was agreed that one, we would do this report, and like I said, this was created in conjunction or in collaboration with SPALC at the time. And the purpose of this is now when they have to fill out or make changes, all that they do is they go in there and they're supposed to put a change. So if they don't get to their second stop, in this case, 5:24 a.m., if they're not getting there till 5:31, that's what they need to put down. And they should put 5:31. They turn it into our routers or our super, it goes to a supervisor first. Supervisor goes ahead, verifies on GPS, and then if it needs to be changed, it gets sent to the routers, the signature of the supervisor, and it should get changed. So, yes, there used to be an RTM form as we kind of streamline the process. This is kind of a one-stop shopping, so to speak. So all the information is right here on the route time and mileage route sheet is what we call it. At the top of it does say route time and mileage. So I'm not sure, you're saying go back our lease and having them fill in and write out that whole form again?
Absolutely, because it might say route time and mileage, but if you go back and look at the data, the system that you are using have been in transportation for over 20 years. The time, the students, time you leave the compound, the time you come back, all of that has been in place for years in transportation. If a route sheet says now, right, route time and mileage, basically that was put in there within the last couple of years. But this system that we are on, we've been on it for years because, I mean, we went to a system that basically would tell our drivers, you know, like a GPS system, it would give them the directions. So this system been put in place for years before you even came to transportation, but we still had our route sheet and we still had a route time and mileage sheet. So what I'm trying to just bring attention to that it's gonna cut down paperwork for, it's gonna prevent our drivers in attendance from to have to go to a computer system to spend 30, 45 minutes a day on time that they're not getting paid. It's gonna help payroll out with the tons and tons of paperwork that they have. The only thing I'm saying is this system is not working. And then to go in to see routers, the majority of the time, our routers have the pleasure at every single compound to basically shut down and tell the drivers, I'm not seeing you today. So our drivers have that privilege. So it's not like a driver can walk in, go in and talk to a router and say, hey, I have this issue, I need to leave early, I need to leave late, and boom, it's fixed. It's not fixed like that. Our drivers can email and call their supervisors or walk their route sheets in and say, hey, there's an issue with my route sheet, I really need it fixed. They might take a copy of it, put it in a pile with the rest of them, and it might not even get looked at for the whole entire year. Yeah, it's a problem, and I always said that it was a problem with the way that, they was doing it, because it's a route sheet, it's not an RTM, that's just bottom line. And it needs to be easier, and I find it's kind of disturbing to me that transportation is the only department in the Lee County School District that has to go through so many steps to report their time on a daily basis. It's just totally ridiculous.
Well, okay, so what was on the route sheet? So go through the old time route sheet, because basically everything that we've done in the past, we still do. There used to be the hard copy, extra work, extra timesheet that filled out, you got one torn off, and one got placed here, one got placed here, one got placed there. Now that's electronic, so they go on, they click, you do it electronically, you hit submit, it automatically through email gets sent to the supervisor. Supervisor then pulls it up, he looks on GPS, he approves or denies it, it gets immediately sent back to the driver. So the process is still the same. I guess the mechanisms have been upgraded. As we say, we're coming out of the Stone Age, so to speak.
No, the process has okay. So let me try to explain this again. When you have an RTM, your RTM will have what time you leave the compound, what time you're supposed to go back, everything in between, depending on what school you have. It will also state your extra work. So if you have a work study, an activity, short day, pre-K speech, that will be on your RTM one form. That form gets looked at with the supervisor and the employee there. Anything that needs to be changed. Say, for example, a driver is at Cypress Lake High School. Cypress Lake High School from Cypress to South Compound is 10 o'clock, but a driver put 10:30 on there. Well, the supervisor will make that correction and let that driver know, okay, I don't know what you're doing between, this time. I put your GPS, it showed that you were still on the bus ramp or whatever. We can't pay you for sitting on the bus ramp, so we're only gonna pay you to 10 o'clock, so they'll slice it, the time is corrected. If that driver or attendant don't agree with it, they get in contact with us, but basically, every school has a time that transportation allows you to get back to the compound. So those are the times that the supervisor uses, but it's one sheet. It's one sheet. So the system that we have in now, I literally had to go in every day, even though I did the same thing every single day. I went in, I put in Brady part off, what time I started, what time I ended. Pre-K speech, what time I started, what time I ended. Didn't I have to put my regular school on there that I did every day because I only have one school in the afternoon, So then, if I did 2 Lexingtons, I would have to go on the computer every day and put both of the Lexingtons in there, the time I started, the time I ended. If I had a field trip, I would have to put in the time that I started, the time that I ended. We are putting all of this stuff in a computer system, and I just feel like it's a better way. RTMs, whatever, how, whatever you want to name the sheet, it really don't matter, but it should be a better way. It's just, it's too much.
Jason?
So I have a question, because I'm not in transportation. So you mentioned that transportation was the only department that was doing some of this clocking in and clocking out. But transportation, to my understanding, is pretty much the only employees that don't work from a set beginning time and end time, and there's time in the middle. So if I'm hearing you correctly, we do have to document when we start and when we end, when we start up again and when we end, correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
No, that's part of the.
But I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is, I think what I heard Arlie say is that when you're doing additional routes, that's when you have to document it. But I think every employee that does additional work has to document it. So if we have paras that work at a school or custodians that do extra work, it all has to be documented in some way, and that's so that payroll can pay for that extra work that's being done. Because if I understand correctly what you said that I didn't have to do that for my regular route that I was scheduled because we already know those start and end times and that's the same every day. But I think maybe one of the things, and maybe this is a way that we can, if you're always covering the same route, maybe that could be, is that a way that we can maybe add that to, or not?
And yes, if you do the same coverage every day, it should be added to your route. It absolutely. We are a modified 2-tier system. So in theory, the stops, if we had enough drivers, you'd have 2 schools. You did one after the other. But due to the shortage now, we do have buses that do 3 schools if they can make it, and our lease is 100% correct. All our drivers are going above and beyond every single day. They're absolutely working extra hours and turning in the time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that, but it has to be done. Now, if you do that same coverage every single day, that we've already spoken to our supervisors should be added to your route sheet. Now, when I'm looking at the route sheets or the RTM, which is what they're called, we have them for instance, 1586. It has an activity route, an AM route, and a PM route. 1601 has an AM route, a PM route, and a work study route. And this is just a small section here. Then you keep going down, we have the CBI is on here. We have coverage buses. So all of those are listed, those are on here. So all that we're looking for the drivers to do is you clock in with an attendance tracker once before 11 and once after. That triggers payroll for Kevin over there to say, pay them their RTM time. Now, if we call you in early, and yes, we do call people in early, they simply submit it. Same thing in the afternoon. If you run past your time, submit the time and you'll get your time. I mean, again, it's the same thing as filling out the paper copies.
Okay. So I think what we probably need to do with this one is just to request some data. If I'm at the point that I can request data, because I don't think that it's actually, what I'm saying and what Mr. Lloyd is saying is totally 2 different things. And I understand that no matter where you work, that if you are doing extra time, yes, you have to fill out an extra time slip. I understand that. And Jason, to answer your question, my pre-K speech was part of my route, and even that was not on my daily report to payroll. The only how payroll would know to even pay me that is when I went in that computer every day and put that information in. And that was something that was part of my route. So to answer, your question is, this stuff is part of drivers' routes, but they're still not being paid for it unless they go in and enter it on the computer system.
So what's your request?
I think the only how I can actually, people will, everybody here will understand, what drivers are literally going through. If you basically, I say we get a few buses that, we can request the route sheets for, so we can, put it up on a slideshow and then kind of request and maybe Kevin can, help me out with, basically, I could pull my information and maybe we can pull some information to show the amount of the process even he has to go through to get somebody paid. Like one driver and the amount of paperwork that will go with that driver and all the stuff that they're doing within a week or a day or a couple of days or whatever. I'm just trying to show how difficult it is. It's difficult.
So is this something that could be done in like in a SPALC labor management to gather this material to bring back or formulate it?
Yeah.
Her?
We have a transportation labor management meeting tomorrow. Let's add that to the agenda, and I know this is really short notice, but could we have a couple of route sheets to look at? Various route sheets for. Yeah, we can do that in labor management tomorrow and bring something back if this is the place to come back to.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, Rob?
I'm trying to figure out what we're bargaining. I know that sounds crazy, but we're talking more process than contract language. So I'm not trying to waste anybody's time by talking about process, but process is something for sure. Labor management, that's always talked about. But I'm looking at the contract language in Article 5, other than some brief mentions of RTMs, it's not really in there. That doesn't mean it can't be put in there. No, I'm not saying it can't, but I'm trying to figure out what we're bargaining. But I think we're on the right track tomorrow, head in that direction, and away we go.
All right, so if everyone's okay with that, I know the parties who were involved in that meeting all said okay, so, maybe we can get off that for a minute and see what else, let's see. Paperwork, language about resignation and retirement, draft an MOU about timing of transfers, status of head custodian, manager position training on how to become a manager, availability and location of light duty, and how SPALC employees are compensated for covering other positions.
I want to say a couple of those were on the management side. I want to say Will, I'd have to go back and look at the video, but I think Will put up the retirement and resignation piece, and maybe even the changing positions MOU.
Okay.
I can talk about the moving around and coverage for a second if we can jump to that one. That was also transportation related. And I'll let Arlise jump in. I'm sure I won't. She does this every single day, so I won't be able to do justice to the issue. But one of the issues that we've noticed in transportation specifically is when someone has been a driver and they take another job. Obviously, their pay changes, but they're still oftentimes required to continue to hold a CDL. And they're also, right now in the world that we live in where there aren't enough people to do the jobs, they're also covering. And so there's an interest on the SPALC side related to, because these folks lose their seniority when they move to, say, become a dispatcher or what, like a router, a router or somebody, one of those positions. We have an interest in them maintaining their seniority in transportation. One, they're still in transportation. And two, they still hold a CDL, so if they ever wanted to go back and drive a bus.
Where are we off with this, we being transportation for years?
Well, that's great, we're fighting for it now. Yeah, I'm not so sure we want to.
Is there more story, or do you want to just make that an option?
Well, you can make that an option, but I had a second piece. I'm so glad we're on the same page, Mr. Lloyd. This makes this Monday so much easier.
Would you repeat the option, please?
The option is that basically the hold harmless, that if someone moves from, I guess it's a promotion, correct? No? It wasn't just a lateral move?
No, here's what happens. Dispatch, tough position. Router, tough position. Driver training, tough position. We've always had our hands held from administration, and Rob, I apologize for not speaking to you earlier. But we've always wanted that because we do have our veteran drivers that say, hey, I'd like to give driver trainer a chance, but I don't want to do it for 2 years or 3 years and then come back and have my seniority that was 31 when I took the job now come back and now I'm 754. And that has really kind of hamstrung us as far as getting our veteran drivers, which that's who we need. They know what's going on better than anybody else. They're on the roads every day. But nobody wants to take that chance of, hey, Mr. Lloyd, what if I just hate it? What if I get into dispatch, I get burnt out, and I want to go back for driving? I always want them back, but you're getting punished anytime you step out of that. And I was going to bring this up on Article 2 with Arlise, because I agree wholeheartedly. She should get her, she comes back, absolutely. Her date should be the same. And with the way people retire, she'll probably come back higher than 16. But that should be for every position on here. So I think this will be something we could probably do an MOU and through transportation labor management. However, the easiest way, but this is one that definitely I think is a win across the board for everybody.
We could just mimic the language from Article 2 and for all transportation employees, then perhaps.
All right, another hand over here.
So I'm still new to learning a lot of this contract. So how does that impact maintenance technicians? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not sure what they're talking about. But we need to caucus.
Okay. No problem. How long?
10 minutes.
A minute? Yeah. Okay.
We will not caucus up.
That's fine. Yeah, thank you. So, we have discovered that the language that we're talking about currently exists in the contract. So, it's on page 10 of the hard copy of the contract, paragraph 3C, department seniority. The Transportation Labor Management Committee has approved the use of a department seniority date for bidding purposes in order to hold harmless employees who have moved from one position to another within transportation without a break in service or exiting the department. So, if we follow the language in the contract, it's there.
Thank you.
This appears to be the language that was inserted last year, because it further says that there should be recommendations for revision now. So I think.
I'm not sure what those are, so we can remove that language.
Seems to solve our problem.
So I would put an option of status quo with removal of the last sentence. So it's not status quo, it's basically.
Yeah, it's not status quo, we're removing.
Removal of lines, it would be line 44 to 45, the last sentence of C.
There it is.
Just further recommendations.
Okay. So this is 5.what C?
5.03.
5.03.
I'm sorry. 5.01 parentheses 3 parentheses C.
Okay, thank you. Is it 5.02?
Is it? Wow.
Okay, 5.02.
3C.
Right.
So sorry.
Okay, so 5.02, 3C, remove lines 44 and 45, last sentence of 5.02, 3C. Anything else, Rob? No. Anybody?
No.
Can we approve that option? All right, we're good. So much for seniority issues. We talked, the other thing was, you said that the district put up language about resignation and retirement. Correct.
The months are really bleeding together. To me, the further we get, toward the end of the year. But I want to say, Rob, we'll put out some draft language sometime in June or July around resignations and retirements. I think in the hopes that it made it into all 4 contracts. And we can revisit that in labor management if you want to. That has fallen off my radar.
Yeah, they're looking for that language now, but if you want to defer to labor management, Crow's willing to do that.
And Donna, the other issue that SPALC brought up was how SPALC employees are compensated for covering different positions.
Right.
I'm looking at that, and that may be an Article 10 thing. That doesn't need to be an Article 5.
Okay.
But, the story is around, we heard from a couple of routers that are driving and still getting the router pay, not the driver pay, things of that nature, but that can wait until Article 10.
Okay. What? Oh, trying to find it. You want to defer to labor management so you can have some time to look at the language that was written? No, I'm suggesting they'll give you more time to find it.
I'm I'm looking too, I'm having trouble.
Got it? Yes. All right, you found it. And can you share it with us? All right, Barb's gonna put it up on the screen. Okay.
All right, so there's a minor change. I'm sorry, I don't have that number.
So it looks like the only change is to their immediate supervisor or human resources.
These are brand new, this is brand new language. So we have this language.
Yeah.
All right, so the salary schedules for N and admin. Yep. Which is the administrative salary schedule, and for other support employees not governed by SPALC have this language in their contract, actually all of this language. So I think our proposal was to add this to the SPALC agreement. I don't expect you all to read it right now or to comment, but it's about resignation and retirement, which currently the collective bargaining agreement doesn't have a lot of language about. So that's why this is being proposed. And I think it was sent to you, Kerr, at some point, but.
If you could send it again, I can find it in my inbox.
Right, and then we'll table this until SPALC has a chance to digest it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Kurt?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so we will table it. Now that we found the language, thank you for searching. Draft MOU about timing of transfers, that was another one you said. We have no idea about that one either.
Well, I do have a little bit of an idea. It's about voluntary transfers and what time of year they should be permitted. It's more of a talc issue typically than SPALC, but I don't have the language of what that would look like in front of me. I'm sure Will could help us out with that. But I believe that's the subject area.
Okay. All right, status of head custodian and assistant manager position trainings on how to become a manager.
We did add language about PD, professional development, so I'm not sure if that satisfies that area. Was that yours, Kurt, or ours?
That wasn't ours. I'll have to go back and rewatch the video. I'm not entirely sure what that was about.
Okay. So we can't go any further on that one tonight. All right, how about availability and locations of light duty?
It's theirs. We could probably put that in. We are prepared to talk about it, but I think it was your issue.
Yeah, this was our issue. And I think it relates more, again, to the transportation department than some of the others. But we wanted to talk around where the light duty positions are and, how they're assigned. We've heard some, from some of our members, say you're a transportation employee out of the West Compound and getting assigned to Buckingham for light duty, and just the burden that places on the employee.
Okay.
So there's language in 505 about temporary reassignment and mileage. In the past, the light duty this language hasn't been used for light duty. But I mean, it is rather far, from one compound to the other, so it would be it's a burden on the employee. So I guess our option would be around maybe putting a note in here about temporary reassignment or light duty assignments.
So I'm going to have Bonnie respond because her department manages workers' compensation, which this is related to. I'll hand her the one.
Okay.
So I just want to provide a little background on what actually in the contract are called limited duty assignments, which are sometimes quite often referred to as light duty assignments. But within the provisions of workers' compensation, there are no quote unquote light duty jobs. Folks are assigned to jobs. The jobs have physical requirements attached to them. And as you mentioned, transportation via the DOT has some pretty stringent physical requirements, and a requirement that the employee not have limitations or has very little wiggle room with, as my understanding of the DOT regulations are. So when an employee is injured, if as a result of that injury they are able to perform all the essential job functions of their job, then they will continue to work in that capacity. A position of light duty, or as the contract calls it, limited duty, is provided when an employee sustains a workplace injury as defined by the workers' comp regulation. And I'm being clear on that because personal injuries are a whole separate conversation. So we're only talking about work comp injuries when people are injured in the course and scope of their employment. The district does make limited duty available to those employees. This has the twofold benefit of, one, under workers' comp law, if an employee is out of work, they're eligible to receive 60% of their pay. And so obviously that would be a big impact to an employee's financial situation if all of a sudden their pay was reduced by 60%. So by working in a limited or light duty capacity under workers' compensation, they continue to receive the pay they would have received because they're still working the same number of hours that they were working before, and they're paid at the same rate that they were paid before. However, a limited or light duty position means that the employee would not have to perform the job functions that they are unable to do as a result of their physical injury. So obviously that looks very different for a food service worker as it does for a secretary, as it does for a bus driver, as it does for a paraprofessional, because all of those jobs contain drastically different physical requirements. So it is somewhat individualized. The person remains in their assigned department or school location. However, under the limited and light duty statute, there's flexibility around assignment of duties, because obviously if my job is let's say I'm a PE para and I have a broken leg, running around in a playground with kids is probably not physically possible. And so the location is able to reassign that person. Maybe that person works, at the front desk answering phones or in the cafeteria as I don't know. We encourage the locations and the schools to use that person, to be as productive as possible while they're recovering from their workplace injury, with the ultimate goal of having that person return to their pre-injury employment in a regular capacity. So I hope that provided some background about the process. The work itself is assigned at the location level. Workers' Compensation Insurance and Benefits Department doesn't say, a person at Hector Cafarata is injured and this is the work they will do. We would go to the principal and say, here's this injured worker, how can we keep them fully employed and receiving their full paycheck and their full benefits, because they would be working every day like they normally would, but in a limited duty capacity to allow them to heal from their injury, again, with the goal of returning them to their regular position. I hope that's helpful. I'm happy to answer any questions about the process.
Thanks, Bonnie. Arlene? Okay, thank you, Bonnie, but what we're saying is, and thank you for explaining workers' comp, but what we're saying is that people that's on limited duty, the employees that's on limited duty are being sent from one part of town to the other one. So Buckingham compound is out by Riverdale High School, and the drivers or attendants or mechanics might wind up all the way to West Zone. They might work at South, which is across from the Sheriff Department, and be sent to West Zone. That's what we're talking about where transportation is concerned. So we understand all of the school site employees are staying at their school site. It is not happening in transportation. Every time someone is on limited duty at transportation, they are being sent to another compound. It is causing hardship. We had a employee last year that was paying Uber $50 a day just to get to work. So that's where this issue came up.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Do we have any, don't see any more hands going up the story. Do we have any options? It seems like this seems to be centered around transportation, not at other sites. Thank you, Teresa. Okay, it's not on.
I just want to bring this up because it's not really SPALC related, but we have had TALC related where there are moves in location, and so I don't know whether that needs to just be kind of brought up because we're saying it's limited to this one group, and I don't think that that's the case.
Okay.
So I don't know whether.
All right, thank you. Kurt?
And maybe the reason why we've been hearing it just at the compounds is, and I heard you say location. To me, location would be the compound and not the department in general. Is the department in general considered the location in that case, or are we finding a limited duty job in another location so that the employee has full pay and they're not having to take that reduction in pay?
Sorry.
So Mr. Wood, you be able to speak to this? So for our purposes in insurance and benefits and for the workers' comp program, transportation is a single unit. And so we look to the transportation department to provide work for the injured worker so they can continue to receive full pay instead of the 60% as provided under workers' comp. My understanding is, and I'll give it to Mr. Lloyd in a minute, is that the challenge becomes in finding work that an injured worker can do that is within their restrictions and also at a particular location. As many of you know, the availability of office space at the different compounds varies greatly in terms of the physical inside space to hold people. And I believe that's been part of the challenge with the workers' compensation employees when they are on a light duty capacity.
And yes, Bonnie's exactly correct. Transportation is its own 9240 department. But this was an issue actually that again was handled during transportation laborment collaboratively between transportation and SPALC. There were issues with confidentiality. When you have employees on workers' comp, they were in the dispatch office, they were in close proximity to files, and we, both groups, SPALC and transportation, were dealing with that information, that personal information getting out one way or the other. So in an effort, it is more than just space. Obviously, we just don't have a lot of space. That changes from time to time. But it also was a confidentiality that we had employees that were out spreading rumors. It just was not a good situation. And to be honest, SPALC's the one that came to us and worked with us to get this solution.
So what the result was, which solution, Roger, just to?
The solution was when people went on workers' comp, that we would put them where we felt that they would be most productive.
Okay. Charlie, okay, so where is that in the contract, do you know?
No, I don't see one way or the other it's in there. Job site being transportation.
So it says it's in 5.08, it says job site, and they're looking at job site as transportation as a department. And the solution that came up with, if I'm correct, Roger, in transportation labor management was just a collaborative agreement in transportation labor management to proceed this way. Okay. Yes, Bonnie.
Okay, we'll have more discussion on that and labor management. Yeah, we'll have more discussion. Because with me, I want everything in writing.
Well, if you wanted to write in the times here, but Bonnie? Okay.
I'm sorry, I feel like I need to say what I was going to say.
As we as a group contemplate the language that we may want to put into this agreement, I just want to caution the group that if we make the requirements so specific that light duty work can't be performed, that the only option is then off work, which, so I'm not trying to guide the conversation one way or the other, but just to remind you that part of the desire is to allow people to continue earning 100% of their pay. And as the discussion continues, I don't want us to hamstring ourselves to the point that the only option is to send someone home with no pay.
And with that caveat, you may discuss this in transportation labor management, formulate some language and bring it back to this group if you would prefer doing that, Arlie.
And Bonnie, Nick already discussed that because we know that. And it's a couple of things. Remember, the transportation is a unique department, and I know you are the workman's comp expert here, but they don't get all of their pay, okay? Transportation, when they go on workman's comp,
when they are on limited duty, they are only getting 8 hours a day. So that's not normal for us. 14 hours is normal for us. But I understand, but I just wanted to put that out there. Transportation is not getting their full pay. Everybody else in the department, in the district might, but not transportation. And the only reason that we brought this up is because, like I said, it's really causing hardship on our people, and we just want something that's reasonable and fair.
All right, so do you want to toss it around in transportation, labor management, and bring maybe some language that you might develop there back here?
Yes.
For the teams?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. How SPALC employees are compensated for covering different positions. I know we talked about on transportation a little bit.
That was the
this one
piece
says
that,
SPALC.
that was the piece that I think better fits in Article 10, so we can look that up then.
So I think we have covered all the bullets on this in one fashion or another. Either it's going to transportation and management or some other places, and there's going to be search for language in some of it. So with that, is there anything else we need to cover this evening? Just because it's not on the snapshot, if it's an issue in Article 5, we can talk about it. And if there's nothing else in Article 5, then that's all we had on our agenda tonight was Article 2 and Article 5. SPALC's next meeting is scheduled for December 19th, I believe, at 4 p.m.
Yes, right.
So, with that, anything else for closing? Rob?
Yeah, just in anticipation of the 19th, we'll talk offline, because we are looking for another date for SPALC, so we'll talk.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
With that, wow, 5:35, and we are done. Enjoy an early release.